For a special treat, I purchased tickets to the Baseball Colt World Series tournament for my family. We arrived early, found our seats near home base, and watched the other spectators arrive, nearly filling the stands. The audience lugged in coolers and drinks and snacks. As their reserve dissipated, all of those wonderful snacks and drinks they'd brought in, one or another would quickly search for another vendor to continue this gorging frenzy. And we enjoyed watching the audience as much as the players warming up. As the game began, we found ourselves tucked between the most avid fans ever. They knew everything about the sport and even possessed historical and statistical history of the opposing teams and each player. The first inning started noisily as the dedicated fans warmed up along with their team. As the inning numbers climbed, so did the enthusiasm of these fans. Insults were thrown out, mingled with advice and expertise from the stands. My son leaned into me to state his observation. If they know so much, why aren't they playing or at least coaching the game? His observation caused me to ponder. How often had I sat in the stands of life attempting to learn something via osmosis or give advice and directions without a thorough understanding? My analogy continued as the game went on. Some fans frantically yet deftly hurdled the seats in the bleachers, racing between the aisles and rows to catch a foul ball. Great examples of athleticism were demonstrated in these stands. Yet they were only one step higher than the onlookers. Although they were more involved in the game, they still were not completely submerged in the activity. They operated parallel to the sport, if not even parasitically. They remained on the sidelines, hoping the baseball would fall in their direction. It made me wonder, have I, or maybe have you, ever been on the sidelines, not fully participating, but hoping to catch a nugget of knowledge somehow? Individuals have been lulled into thinking that learning is something caught, tricking themselves to believe it is just like sitting in the stands of a game, requiring little to no effort. Society breeds this mentality through everyday encounters, deceiving us to be lazy receptacles of whatever is tossed in our direction. An example is electronics. Although sometimes used wisely, it generally lulls its audience into a malaise as people sit for hours entranced in games or television programs. Creators of programs and games sell a falsehood that all problems in life can be easily solved within set time limits, maybe 30 minutes even. Yet these time limits being within the confines of even 60 minutes within a television episode to the levels within a video game. Compare this slothful, lazy approach of learning to the active learning who invests both time and energy into a learning process. This active, self-directed, autonomous learner seeks out opportunities to acquire new information. They ponder information, jot down notes, and desperately they try to absorb every single nugget of data that comes their way. One of the greatest examples of this type of learning is in the book Carry On, Mr. Bowditch. Nat Bowditch, although an indentured servant with few liberties, mastered languages, mathematical equations, astronomies, navigation, and more. His process was through a simple equation of questions and answers. His questions came to his mind, and he sought the answers, digging and investigating until he learned all that he could. Imagine how much easier that is for us when we have all the answers at our fingertips just within our smartphones. So remember, learning is not a spectator sport, but take a moment to ponder, how would our lives be different if we were to participate in the same learning process as Mr. Bowditch? And what can we do today to increase our desire to learn, as well as spark this desire in those we mentor and teach?